like were bigger issues than actually a Jax coming through for Doran. So I am curious if that third ban here after the only expect to come through on red side here for Billy does end up opening up into something a bit different.
For sure, and since we're back on blue side, the game 1 bans when HLE was blue side was Kalista, Renekton, Skarner, and the BLG bans were Aurora, Yone, Jax. Whether or not last game's Yone read changes things, I think the first pick Sylas read would definitely change things. Not necessarily in banning it, but having a different thing to pick against it for Knight. That looks to me like the direction that we're going. The order did change for HLE, so they're waiting on this Renekton ban to see if they want to keep it, because they would want to be able to respond if BLG change up in the final ban phase.
Yeah, I'm interested to see whether that one does stay. I don't think that the onus is on HLE to change things up. I think they could just keep it, but instead, yeah, you're right. The Vi is going to come on through. Now that last ban that was the Jax probably could be something else, and the Ezreal is going to be the ban instead. Really interesting that they leave open the Sylas this time around and the Poppy.
Yeah, it says to me that they kind of identified, look, we want to play dive against Hanwha. Let's just make sure that Ezreal that can try and escape is going to be totally fine, but immediate pickup of the Jax to the opposite side, and oh my god, we're swapping it here.
All right, the Sylas going to be locked in. How's your rise, Zeka? That's always been the answer to the Sylas, right, guys?
Well, I think this is really interesting because I think what BLG identified was, hey, if we give the Jax, we can actually take the Ashe, because the Sylas problem is that if we take Ashe, the enemy team gets an Ashe ult, right? But now you're in a position where you have a good matchup as the Sylas into the Yari. You don't have that stolen away Ashe shower. You basically win out on bot lane push, and now you get that counter pick in the top side as well. But it is a curiosity as to what Bin wants to go there.
I am
I'm baffled
big
as well.
BLG fan right now from the first 2 picks, because the Renekton ban, I think, triggers the Jax ban a lot of times, so BLG can still just pick Renekton on 3, I think have a good matchup. They'll still have great ultimates for Sylas. They'll still have push with Ashe that can block the Kalista pick. I think they're just getting so much red side value out of these first 2 picks already.
All I'm saying is, Bin used to be called I Love Camille. So,
yeah,
always an angle for him to just match firepower with firepower, right? And especially when you've already got a lot of dive, you've got that set up from the Ashe. You don't necessarily need that coming through from your top half of the map either, but going to try and take the Rakan away from Delight, but also very strong pick for him, it looks like, but dual Freljord?
The good old Freljord bottom lane could be coming on through, although the Gnar, as we've seen, sort of surging in priority, going to be an answer here. Depends on who you ask, but some can say a self-counter pick. We know that Keen has been pretty outspoken saying that Jax just kind of wins in this matchup, but it's certainly been seen as all sorts of different things over the years.
And I mean, this tells me that the Renekton ban's gone for the rest of the series. The fact that Jax still got first picked, the fact that Renekton didn't get picked whatsoever, but I still really do like the 1-2-3 here from BLG.
I think the biggest problem is actually just the fact that Nocturne's now locked in, because it makes it kind of difficult for BLG to work together on the dive with a Sylas and an Gnar, but also leaves this Ashe very vulnerable. So as everyone jumps in onto the back line, Ashe is kind of left on her lonesome, and in theory she has the range, but you don't really have anyone to sit beside her. So I'm curious if we even get something like a Renata to nearly round out this composition for On, just to give some sort of backline support to Ashe in this scenario.
And we'll see what type of flexibility BLG can show, because I think they can actually absorb with these 3 picks at the moment. If they were hovering Braum, and if that Renata ban is real, which I think it is, I think they can still take Braum and just absorb a lot of this dive. But that's not the type of team we've seen win a lot of games. We've seen the full dive teams just matching up against each other. But I really like the angle here for them to just pick more protect champions. I'd love them to lock in this Braum right here.
I feel like they've just been playing really good reactionary League of Legends over the last couple of games. Even in the game that they lost, that was incredibly close for the majority of it. That is going to be the Rakan locked in the end, though. On did have a brilliant performance in game number 2, so they're going to stick with that one. And now HLE rounding out their bottom side of the map. No Ezreal, no Kai'Sa. Definitely his 2 best. The Twitch ban is absolutely adorable. We'll see where he's going to go, though, as Zeri. I haven't seen her for a while.
Yeah, I think it was to try and deny the Xayah Rakan coming through from Hanwha and kind of having that safety for the dive.
Oh,
Zeri is what he is. It's
the
been a
first
long
Zeri
one
of the
to
tournament.
see this. Yeah.
Okay. And Delight is going to lock away the Rel at the same time. Look.
They're going in.
Yeah, they are.
They're going in. We'll see. We'll see about the Zeri. I figured they're lane swapping anyway, and they're going to have so much power through the Jax Ahri that they can kind of just wait for the Zeri to be late game insurance.
Well, that is a Wukong. That is a lot of mid-game power, if ever you see it, but not necessarily a lot of early game, and I guess in response to the Nocturne, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's where my head's at is, hey, you just farm to level 6 alongside the Nocturne and become really strong. Also, when you look at BLG, you know, Ashe should have pushed into that bottom side of the map. Nara in those early stages can control that matchup in the top side as well, so you're not necessarily needed early on the map as Shun. So I think it is a nice adaptation to go for a jungler that can match some of that team fight potential. Plus, again, you kind of have an access to both sides of the fight as a Wukong. You both access to both sides of the fight as a Rakan as well, thanks to that charm. So I think it is BLG trying to cover for some of the weakness of a potential dive onto the Ashe.
And I just want to say, as far as ultimates for a Sylas are concerned, I imagine Knight's feeling pretty good. You mentioned Nocturne and stuff like that being really important. Both teams have a Nocturne. For all intents and purposes. And one of them has more mobility than the other. So playing around both paranoias is, I think, going to be very confusing for us, but something that both of these teams really do need to take into account as well. But it feels to me like back-to-back really, really good drafts coming out of BLG moving into this third game. And this is for match point, right? You win this and you have so much extra leeway in this series. And you can choose which side you win on if they manage to take it this time.
And I think getting a red side win, if they're able to do so, is just so valuable. The reason they are in the situation where they don't have the blue side priority is because they were a 3-2 team in the Swiss stage, so they didn't have side select coming in, and then the loser of every game in the series gets choice the next time. So if BLG did win this one, even if HLE could choose blue in game 4, if they then won game 4, BLG could get blue game 5. So it's just an extra little wrinkle that would really put them in the driver's seat if they win.
Certainly would. It's like losing a service game, right? And that is not great when it comes to tennis, unless you're really good at not necessarily being a server. It's a different game and not one that I'm all that familiar with, so we're going to get off that topic.
You're brave to go down that one because I've got no experience in tennis.
I like that Roger Federer guy. He was pretty cool. I was sad when he retired. It's okay. Knight is going to find Delight. And Delight is just going to crash his way out of there.
All right, 15 love.
Spells needed.
Deuce?
Yeah, do we have... Who's serving on the next play,
We're done.
Did you actually just go from 15 love to Deuce, like, straight away? Damn, it's like a triple kill. Okay, beautiful. Well, we're grouping. We're trying to get something done here. As Peanut, some Dustbringer value as Doran off to the side, avoids a little bit as the volley does come on through, slows him down momentarily, but he does make his way out. Delight was ready for the crash over the wall. Zeka moving on in now, so will we have some relatively normal lanes? That's the question, as I think we're going back to Australia, never mind.
Yeah, and the fact that Bin is already on this lane and the bottom side hasn't shown is kind of giving an opportunity here for him to get that push. You can see Doran immediately trying to get on towards this bottom side. Going to invest the TP again, so very similar to level 1. Zout getting nice damage here.
That's a flash in from On, going to go for that grand entrance. Viper already having to flash as Delight crashes his way up, but already Viper down to half health and without one of his summoner spells, one of the most crucial ones as they look to match this lane swap.
And the early Ashe laning phase, being able to catch them like that as well as getting the early flash is just going to be a lot of pain for the Delight and Viper. I mean, this is part of why some people were lane swapping in the first place, is to avoid some of these disastrous 2v2 matchups. So really good. It's a little bit of a flip when you're doing these send both duo lanes top type of lane swap prevention methods, but BLG win this one.
I'm also curious what On does off this crash. Not going to look for any sort of invade, I believe, it's shown actually, although he is not doing his red buff, so maybe they want to look for some sort of play. No, he's just going to, finish his red buff there, but I think he might need to come and cover mid, because Knight getting a hell of a lot of damage put down with Zika. Has just picked over to level 3, so we'll have access to all of his abilities, but not in the best of spots in this early stages.
This is the true mirror matchup, right? As far as our game number 1 is concerned, as in goes Doran, looking for Bin here momentarily, the hop out. Mean that the Nara is just fine, hitting that Mega Nara as well. I'm very interested to see how this mid lane matchup's going to go, because do you know what? I just want to see Ahri do okay in this lane. As you're exactly right, Shun, looking for a little bit of an angle here, as I love it. We've got matching spooky skins as well from our junglers, so jungler skinergy, I think, is actually very, very important, and we do have it here between Peanut and Shun.
And speaking about the Ahri versus Sylas matchup, if it goes anything like it went the first time when opposite players were playing it, the Ahri does win early. It's range versus melee. Yeah, right. You have slightly better wave clear early on in the game. It's just if Sylas keeps it close and then has adequate items, steals your Ahri ultimate, you're just better than Ari at that stage in the game. So that's how it played out in the first game. Zeka actually was down about 15 CS as the Silas, around like 100 to 85 was the break point that I saw. So it looks to be starting that way in this one.
Well, Doran here getting the shove in, and Bin just going to be catching the wave, but Doran actually doing a decent job. And I do want to talk about this because I think that Doran gets a lot of flack as a top laner, and I think that is, you know, thanks to me in a lot of part, right? Like, I think that a lot of us have been pretty critical of this guy. His Jax has been really good. And as far as Jax play is concerned, he's very different to that of, you know, Bin's Jax, for example, that just destroys 1v1, feels like he's an absolute monster in a side lane that always needs to be answered. It's Doran in team fights that makes this Jax look absolutely ridiculous. Him getting multi-man counter-strikes and setting up for the rest of his team is sort of how he makes this champion feel so good.
And the respect has been there from BLG towards Doran's Jax this whole series. Like, can you believe that BLG actually banned Jax
me away.
2 games in a row when Bin is on the team? Like, I've never seen that before.
No, I don't understand it. Viper is going to be pushed away from the lane once again, as you can see as far as CS is concerned, down about 10 as Delight in somewhat of a precarious position. Peanut going to be moving up as well. Delight looking for a bit of a crash down angle. Grand Entrance going to be getting a knockup. Good little interruption there as now On is in a bit of trouble. Viper trying to get these burst fires down, but Chun looking for him. Dash out, and it looks like Viper will be safe for the moment. The clone coming on through here as it's Peanut taking the majority of the damage. He might be able to get out of there. The extended range of that extendo beam out from Viper is going to deter them, and BLG will back away.
It was a little awkward from the beginning because Shun flashed to try and give On some sort of way to battle dance his way to safety, but he ends up going back towards Elk, and then I mean, Ash value, right? Approach velocity, you're able to chase down people so well once you get a couple of these autos, and Elk not exactly happy about that terror shot, but definitely taking control in this top side, but needs to get a reset in. 25 seconds until Void Grubs. Like to spend some of that gold and make sure that he can get his health back up.
Okay, so here towards this bottom side, Doran just once again pushing in another wave. Zeka with control of the mid lane, and as far as tempo in comparison to the last game, it feels so much more even. It feels like BLG sort of had HLE on the back foot for the majority of the early game. This time around, HLE have been able to make some moves here as Grand Entrance going to get a knock up, but the charm was good there onto Shun.
Jax is moving up first, though, ahead of Gnar.
Yeah, Doran is going to dive on top of Knight here for the moment. Peanut, only level 5. Level 6, so important for both of these junglers. You can see Shun still level 5 himself as the grubs have been started up. Peanut, of course, does these pretty quickly with the Umbral Blades.
Ash didn't reset though, so you're in a position where Elk has to try and catch the wave, so Hanwha should just get these, and because Doran has so much control on that bottom side, the roam up nullifies Bin having that teleport advantage, so nice job here by Hanwha to play out the map state.
Oh, wow, that sidestep, absolutely beautiful there for Viper, as 3 grubs will go over to HLE. Feels like for the first time being able to actually take control of the grub pit.
I'm still not sure that Viper's human, based off what I've seen so far at Worlds.
He's a snake, clearly.
He seems to be scripting or something. Like, I'm not sure what it is, but I know he's on stage, so it's impossible. He's just that good with his movement.
I can confirm I've spoken to him, and he did not sound like an android.
Interesting.
So
that's how they get you, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, this is the thing, you know. You never really can tell. Just have to say, I was recently watching Battlestar Galactica, so I can confirm that it is very hard to tell them apart. Shun going to be taking the first dragon here. BLG going to be able to at least get that one. So a trade of neutrals here in this early game. Not going to be that monopoly that we saw in game number 2. A very different game is now the crash down onto On. He's going to be able to grand exit. Not to a ward, but it doesn't seem to matter as the big collapse here from HLE towards the top side going to be given up on for the minute.
But look at where the wave is. So Elk and On have to aggress here, and that just sets up.
If at first you don't succeed, go for another one here as On is going to look to turn this one around. There's the paranoia diving right in on top. As can they actually get a first blood? Goes over to Zeka, the extendo beam. Will be able to lock it down for Viper as well, and both carries walking away wealthy from that one.
Great play from Hanwha. The wave was in a horrible spot for Elk. He needed to crash it so it wouldn't be frozen on him, and Hanwha collapse as a result and pick off both of the BLG bot laners.
And that's everybody being on the same page. The kill distribution was also ideal. Zeka gets a kill for his time, and then Viper, the hyper carry, who was in a tough lane situation early against Ash, is now even in CS and a kill up.
And so much of it comes back to that early play as well from Peanut, playing up around that top side, denying Elk the reset that he needed. He wasn't in a position to really get this wave pushed out so he could actually take his first back, and Elk and On end up being in a fantastic spot, or sorry, in a terrible spot as a result. And Delight, Viper, just waiting here. You can see in River, the chase down is so good. Delight gets on, and at this stage, they try to trade forward. You think with the ultimate for Elk, he's okay, but really great stuff from Hanwha and Viper being able to just barely pick up the kill on the exit as well.
Fights like that is why teams are prioritizing Ahri so much. I know there's a lot of conversation about it being a bait pick, but just the space that you can cover there when the other team is just trying to crash a wave. Like, it's a relatively normal lane thing, but if it's a different mid laner, they actually can just flash away from that Nocturne and get away. Ahri can just close so much distance, though, to get the damage down and get the kill.
And you have to say, you can understand some of the frustration here out of the BLG camp, because it did feel like they walked away from that draft feeling pretty good, right? And as a coach, you're walking off that stage and you're feeling like, I gave my players exactly what they need to win. And I think that they did, but after this start, things could be getting a little bit hairy. However, do want to just go back to the fact that this is not a massive gold lead by any means. It is one Drake in favor of BLG as well. And these Ahris have just been instantly dying. And if that happens again, I don't like HLE's chances in this one. So I wouldn't be counting any chickens just yet.
I think the nice thing for Hanwha, though, is that they've already sent Doran to this top side. He's going to be able to keep pressure there, bin TP to the bottom lane. So for the Void Grubs that are in 45 seconds, this could be a potential 6 grub buff for an Ahri and a Jax on a side lane. So there's definitely some avenues of attack here for Hanwha. And I think what we've seen is that BLG, when they start to fall behind in this series, haven't been confident enough to kind of get the lanes assignments correctly the first time around. They take a second or two to get everything back in order. So this is where I want to see BLG just from this point now start to figure out how they want to get onto the map, and a lot of that is going to be Bin rotating up to the top side, being in a position to try and contest these Void Grubs and finding some sort of fight off the fact you have a pick with the Ashes.
Exactly, and we are going to take some time just to have a look at the beautiful Adidas Arena and some of our players
Max.
here, as there is a little bit of a pause.
Who paused, Max?
If it is that guy on the screen right there, I can tell him right now he does not have a static shiv. That's why it's not going off. Yeah. Just to go back to some drama in the LCK. It was an HLE peripheral issue, and it might be that gentleman on your screen right there, as we can see. But hopefully we get that one sorted out as quickly as possible. I love it when we hear peripheral issue, because it's the least difficult to solve. You know, my stuff is broken. Please fix. You know, and that's the long and short of it. We hang out in sepia mode for just a little bit, and then we go back. Yeah. So it was Doran. Maybe it was a sippy cup incident. I hear there are a few of those all across the world.
They've been shockingly absent at this World Championship, but I gotta say...
Oh, you shouldn't have said it.
This is such... yeah, they'll never happen again. This has been such a cool venue for quarterfinals. I know we're only on day 2, but a lot of times with these quarterfinals being like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes it doesn't like fill out in the first few games, especially if you're in Europe, maybe because G2 didn't make it, it's not gonna be exciting. But the fans here have just been absolutely incredible. They bring so much hype. They cheer whenever there's a good play. It's just one of the best places to ever do an esports event.
I agree. I actually can't remember an event in Paris that wasn't completely bananas as far as like the turnout, as well as just the passion from all the fans. So I would 100% agree. And I feel like we're so lucky, right? Like the Adidas Arena has only been here for a couple of different events, and then we get to take advantage of it right now. So absolutely joyous. You're having a look at it right now as Delight getting ready to get back into this one, as I believe we've given Doran an extra keyboard or an extra mouse or an extra headset or something like that, and he is ready to play some League of Legends again, and we are ready to watch him. And so here we go. Back onto the Rift once more. Zeka going to continue clearing out that ward, as Shonanon will be able to get rid of this control ward as well. BLG just moving towards some control of these grubs, which is exactly what they've been looking out for the last little while.
Yeah, maybe the tipping point of the series here, especially in Game 3. The early trades going back and forth. I think HLE definitely punched back in a meaningful way, but you know, if the Silas gets one big fight, he can kind of just take over the game as well. So, as you were mentioning, Dag, that this next grub fight could be big.
But watch how Helmar are already moving here. So, shifting Ahri down to the bot side, Zeri moving to mid to get mid control to come across. Bin has no TP available, and this is what I was saying, BLG, they're going to opt into a fight that could be a numbers disadvantage for them here.
Yeah, a lot of vision available as well, and of course when you've got Paranoia to play around, that can be a danger That is going to be grub number 1 locked down here for BLG. You know that HLE want to be able to get at least one of these. As now Doran looking for a bit of a wraparound, and it looks like it's going to be one grub going over to Hanwha, and BLG just going to cut their losses and leave.
Bin was walking up from River, but he'd actually popped Mega Gnar, so BLG in the grand scheme of things wouldn't have been able to go for a proper fight. I think just happy to deny that 6 grub buff to Hanwha there.
And these teams, aside from a little bit of over-aggression in Game 2 by HLE when they were trying to get back in the game, have been incredibly measured about the fights that they actually take right there. So that was teams not wanting to overcommit into what would have been a losing fight. And now they're just going to start setting up this Drake, I'd imagine.
It's also great to see Bin being the one that's going up against the Ari, because when you look at the itemization coming through from Doran, he's definitely going more towards the, hey, I want to go up against the on-hit Gnar, whereas you're going in towards the melee matchup. Now, same could be said obviously on the opposite side, because you've got the steel cap boots for Bin as well, but I think when you've got a little bit more range there, it's easier for you to deal with an Ari than the Silas who just wants to jump onto Doran every time.
I will say though, BLG has camped this Silas top lane with no teleport, so the Dragon, if HLE wants to set up and kind of hard force it, they'd be in a pretty good position to do so because they could get a 5v4 and probably just stop BLG from contesting altogether.
Not to mention the fact that Doran's pretty okay in that matchup as well, up against the Silas. Has been when, you know, once upon a time, Silas was a top laner. Jax didn't do too badly into the matchup. Of course, patches do dictate a little bit of who's going to win out in those ones, but that's sort of my memory trying to kick in there just a little bit. Peanut grabbing the Hex Plate as well, and we'll see how that one's going to go. There's a few different schools of thought when it comes to the first item for the Nocturne. Gentlemen, what are your favorites?
I like Stridebreaker.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people like Stridebreaker.
But Peanut is in World's quarterfinal, so like I'm not sure who I'm going to take sides on here.
It was Canyon that was the one that just said Hexplate is the best, and you should always build that
first. He's a world
first.
champion. So.
He is a world champion.
The people we've checked with so far are really good at the game.
Yeah. I've heard that Canyon's pretty good. But we've seen Stridebreaker be very, very valuable as well. So interested to see what Peanut's going to make of this particular item, as already he's utilizing it to destroy a dragon.
A little interesting that Knight actually pushed, recalled, deployed to potentially contest. Gnar moved top so he could teleport down, and then they gave it away anyway because Shun wanted to go get Trinity Force, and the timing is just not quite there. So no one really cares about one Cloud Drake, I've noticed. I don't think BLG is going to be too sad about that.
I think BLG are basically saying, look, we don't really want to fight. Let's just scale into our 2-item spike.
Yeah.
Because a huge amount of it is funnel those resources on towards Knight, leave Bin to actually be able to put pressure into this matchup on the top side. You can see he's got a 600 gold lead for himself. And as long as we are denying a potential dive on the bottom side, we're perfectly happy. Elk can fire off a couple of arrows, maybe fish for a pick, but let's just wait until we hit this second item and we really come online.
You can see Bin is going to have that back interrupted. He's ahead by a whole lot of gold, largely to do with the fact that he's, I believe, picked up a few of these plates as well as having a decent CS lead. Same can be said for Zeka in that mid lane. But I believe, like, it feels like both of these teams have a very similar idea on how they want to win the game, and that is not now. As here, a bit of a fight towards the bottom side of the map as Zeka looking for those chains. The charm is going to connect though. That should be the disengage that Zeka is looking for, but still, the Silas already looking dangerous.
But now we can start to move up towards this Rift Herald. It's already been started by Hanwha. No teleport available for Knight. But I don't know if BLG are in a position to try and fight for this. You've already got the reset, so Hanwha are going to pick this one up.
Yeah, Peanut just going to be able to take that one away. And as we get the MasterCard lane economy snapshot, it's going to be a lot of red towards the top side of the map. But you can see both carries on HLE looking very, very strong.
A lot of trepidation from both teams in what could be a swing match in this series. Not too shocked to see the snapshot like this. Gnar has generally been able to get extended gold leads in a lot of these matchups, and if he can get a kill onto Doran, he could really set him behind, but Doran's playing safe enough.
Yeah, I think the real focal point for me has been how Peanut and Delight are playing around this mid wave. Because Elk has that ultimate available at all points in time, and the ability for On and Shun to destroy Viper is there at a minute's notice. But with how well Peanut and Delight have been, hey, we're going to shove in mid, keep Viper safe, then lean bot side, so Peanut is always in range of his ultimate support people like Zeka. It's made it really difficult for BLG to really open up on the map. Now BLG looking for the trade on map state with the Rift Herald being invested onto this bottom side.
Yep, that's going to be a turret going down. First turret blood over to HLE. That's going to give them a decent advantage, although it's answered immediately, so it is just that extra first turret gold that is able to be picked up as Arrow going to connect, and the immediate collapse comes down. Delight just didn't know what hit him. Cyclone comes on through as now Peanut's going to join. The paranoia is going to be there. The fear, it goes off as On looks for that backline, but Zeka, it's a great sidestep, and the ulti comes through from the full health Seri, and certify it as Doran is going to drop the lamppost on them. And Ben, he's got other things to say. It's a decent counter-strike, but is it going to be enough? He does take down on. He gets the double, but then he falls.
BLG absolutely pounce on the lackadaisical Rift Herald play by HLE. Bin cleans up 2 kills. They actually managed to kill Viper at the end of that fight, and that is a massive turn.
It's a brilliant collapse from BLG, and one they were setting up for a night, hiding in that bush with the Ari ultimate, and it's the immediate dive after Elk connects with this. You can see the second setup for the Rift Herald is coming through, and it's perfect timing. They immediately jump on towards the light, and as Shun goes in here, everything is used on towards the Wukong, who flashes away, which buys time for Knight to get those cooldowns back up. On uses the ultimate through everyone to buy space once more. And watch this dodge from Knight, just barely getting past the charm with that Ari ultimate means that then everyone has to overextend for him, buying time for everyone to jump on towards Viper, and on with this knock-up seals the deal for even more in BLG's favor.
Yeah, once those teleports started coming in, you knew it was on. They've been waiting so long for this fight in this game.
Yeah,
BLG
finally,
close to that red side win.
Yeah, some happiness coming out after turning things around here. 2,000 gold, 1,300 gold. I tell a lie, is going to be the advantage here as HLE looking to try and crash this one through as well. They should be able to take this down. 4Grub's going to be helping out there, of course. And Doran in the side lane is going to be very, very scary unless he gets hit by an arrow from downtown. The chain's going to connect as well. Delight just has to watch, but does provide a leap strike target. And Doran, they do get the turret, and he just makes his way out. Knight doesn't quite find the chains.
Actually really important that Doran was able to escape this, even though it's likely going to make him reset. How good is Elk? Back-to-back cross-map arrows.
Yeah.
But they're trying to make this into a big tempo play. How long they delayed these recalls.
Yeah, they're trying to delay it because Dragon is in 20 seconds. So if they can deny the back once again, Delight doing a great job of blocking the potential Quill there from On. Now they get to move over on towards this bottom side of the map and actually match. Doran doesn't have TP, but Elk ultimate down. The ultimate coming through wasn't really burnt by On there, so BLG still have a chance as Bin sitting just shy of this Mega Gnar form.
Yep, no ultimate going to be on the Jax if they actually want to fight this Mountain Drake, so BLG should probably just start this. Bin also has perfect rage management before this fight. Going to make sure it doesn't go down too low, get some hits on that mid-wave.
Yep, and you've got a fair bit of vision available here for Hummer Life Esports to be able to get on over. Try and do battle here for the first Mountain Dragon of the game. Teleport to come through here from Zeka, who just completes his Leandri's. That is 2-item spike done here for the Ari. Could be massive moving into this fight, but look at the Naba onto Bin. Keep your eyes on this now to see what he can get done there as Knight is going to hijack the Spirit Rush. Both teams ready for a battle here. Extendo Beam not going to quite find it there as the arrow will connect onto the Jax. They all dive forward. Can he get the counter-strike? And he does manage to do it, but he's still going to go down. There goes the Rel at the same time, and the Charm will connect, but the Charm does not matter. It's Knight that's able to pick up a double, and HLE, they are more than on the ropes now. They're going to lose their outer turret, and that could have been a game-ending play.
Internationally, Knight is known for his Ari, but domestically, he is a monster on the side. And when he gets access to the best of both worlds, he is showing up on this international stage, shutting down Hanwha and securing the Dragon for BLG.
It's looking like Silas is a better Ari than Ari.
Yeah, and it was HLE that told us that.
Incredible. And this time, this fight, I really think HLE needed to give it up, but they want to keep the train moving. They're going for Knight.
Yep, Charm is going to connect there as the Chain Lash not quite going to work out. Peanut is going to make him a little bit afraid as the Orb of Deception comes down. He's buying so much time as even Doran's going to make his way in. You can see Delight, he was right there. They didn't want to take any chances. They're still going to be able to take him down.
Solid shutdown, but overall that fight, BLG was set up on the Drake. They had a nice line of scrimmage set. Bin was about to hit Mega Gnar. It's one of those things where HLE is just not in a good position, so you're kind of just waiting to see who BLG picks to kill. And once that happens, I just don't necessarily know what the plan was here for HLE. The setup was perfect by BLG.
Peanut also just wasn't involved in the fight. Yes, he popped the darkness, but he would have liked to jump on towards the Ash, but with the way BLG were set up, he would have been diving into his death.
Yeah.
So
You're
just
never getting
4
through the
versus
Mega Gnar.
5, exactly. And it was a great trigger pull from BLG to just say, you are not in position, we can take the fight.
Well, this one certainly looking like it's turning towards a BLG favored game. Still, gold lead nowhere near what it was in game number 2. HLE still in with a shot. We'll see what they can actually get done, because it feels like the game plan from BLG is working out a whole lot better.
For sure, and I think even that last fight, the fact that HLE even did that makes me think that they're feeling a lot of pressure, that the game is actually falling out of their control, because it was not a good look. And I feel like if that was in the LCK in a lower pressure match, I don't think they would have actually tried to force that 5v5. So they really need to just reset their mental here, realize they're behind, and try and take some smart fights.
And that's why they're trying so hard to punish Knight on the side lane, because they need to try and deny this 1-3-1 setup. Maybe looking it on here.
Here we go.
Yeah, there's the paranoia to dive in. They should be able to take down Elk. There it goes. The Magnus Storm is going to come through as well. As there's the Cyclone. Shun trying to turn this one around is on. He's not going to be able to help out. Still, Viper is dead. And the teleport from Gigabin into that backline. Zeka nowhere to go. And he's just clobbered on the head. That is going to be HLE having to back out of that one. It looked like it was such a good start to the fight.
You all forgot about Bin, the TP in with the Mega Gnar, and that's what I was about to point out. He was nearly 3,000 gold ahead of Doran on a side lane. It's only exploded even further now. This Gnar is taking over this game, and there's zero Hanwha have a response for.
The gold lead is Bin. Bin is the difference. It was a good look, as you mentioned, onto the Ashe, but once you're flying in there with the Rel and the Nocturne, the protection that could exist for Viper is gone. So he kills Elk, but then Wukong gets onto Viper so well with the Recon, and then they end up trading 80 carries, and it buys time for Bin to arrive.
And it is a great ward that Hallmark are trying to play off. Spot Elk when he's trying to play safe on the mid wave, but BLG are just in a position to follow up. They'd already pushed in that bottom wave. It was the play, the Hail Mary play for them to try and come back into it. And that, I believe, is the BLG cheer rally, the fan head. So it's nice to see that he's made it to Paris again.
Absolutely. Looking like he's doing his job well at the same time, and especially while BLG are performing this well. Now moving ahead to about a 3,000 gold advantage. These incremental leads that they're piecing together. 1.5 minutes until this next Drake is up and available, but Baron is on the map, has been there for about 3 minutes, and that could be a port of call for both of these teams to try and grab some control.
And Dagda, I also want to talk about BLG and their inconsistency in Swiss stage, because they were inconsistent in single games in the LPL all the time. They dropped so many game ones of best of 3s and best of 5s, but they were so good at recovering and taking control of the rest of the series. They're trying to do exactly the same thing against HLE, and they have wrapped around.
Oh, Doran. Oh, the switch of positions! That was gorgeous! I'd say probably a little bit lucky as well, but you have to give it to him.
Straight between the uprights, but in the best way.
And they both celebrate by spinning around after they trade places. Man, Cirque du Soleil, I love it.
Could they do that again if they tried?
I don't think so.
But, excellent stuff from Doran to get away from that. But yeah, I think for BLG, it's great to see them coming back into form, because yes, they did drop singular games, but I think there was a definite issue with their meta read, how they're approaching fights coming in from Swiss. But this is more like it, and it's Knight coming onto his champions, like the Ari looking great, the LeBlanc looking great. The Silas has domestically been an incredibly strong pick for this guy. He had like a 2v5 base hold against some teams back in like 2022 spring on this champion, but we haven't really got to see him bring it out on the international stage. But now you're seeing why it's so feared domestically.
And they're going to be trying to set up with this Drake here. Currently, Bin, I'm trying to find him on the map, has no rage at the moment, so they don't have exactly the same setup, but as long as HLE doesn't start the Drake, they can start to get control. I
mean, he's 3-item mini Gnar. He still is very dangerous, as it turns out, with this Wits End that he's just completed. And yeah, Doran going to make his way in. Humble Life Esports not wanting to give away Soul Point here, especially when it's that Mountain Soul. Will make Bin almost impossible to kill. A Shun taking half of his health bar from Zeka here, who's already used his ultimate. Now that Narbar is looking brilliant. The Spirit Rush still comes down, but he's hit by the Arrow Knight. Gonna lock that one down. Delight cannot do anything about it. And they lose two. They'll lose the Drake at the same time. HLE are flailing.
Even more control by BLG. Another Ashe Arrow by Elk. They are far ahead here in the game 3. And Atlas, this is also the second game in a row they've kind of put Doran in the dirt, which has got to be concerning for HLE. Last year on Gen G, Doran could not match Bin in that best of 5, and I'd say these last 2 games have been a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, I think that there's just something there. I don't think Doran can really figure it out against this guy. Bin just has extra confidence against this player, as now they've started off the Baron down to 50%, as now Viper is starting this off. Let's see what they can actually get done here. Has been once again back to that Mega Gnar. The counter-strike might be able to get something done, but no, he's just pushed away. And BLG, this phalanx that they can put together is brilliant.
TP coming in though from Zeka, so they're able to push BLG up top, move over towards this mid lane turret. So not only do they deny the Baron, you're getting a little bit back here for Hanwha.
Yeah, might be a little bit of an opportunity here, as some local gold from this turret as well is going to be helping out, opening up the map as well for them, and some bounties going to be layered on. So down to about a 3,000 gold advantage. We're going to have a look at this one more time around this dragon.
And this is where it's just very difficult because you, never mind.
Never mind, there's another battle coming on through here as the arrow is going to connect as Peanut spell shields it because he wants to kill a blue buff, and he will not be delayed.
Extra quick as well, thanks to the attack
100%,
speed.
yeah. Extraordinarily important. The arrow misses this time, and it's the least impactful.
Yeah. I do want to say, though, like, the way BLG are playing around Elk is really good because he is so vulnerable in this game. And we actually haven't got to see that because every time he's pushing it midway for objectives, he has help. He has someone to protect him, and now on trying to play security guard for Knight on the top side.
Yep. As well as BLG has played, and as far behind as Doran is, I'm looking at Zeri, and I'm seeing 3 completed items.
Yeah,
and I'm looking at the nameplate, and it says Viper. So those 2 things together make me think HLE still have a chance.
We'll just have to see, because we haven't certified a Zeri moment just yet. He's 1, 3, and 4 right now, not necessarily running away with the game. But you're right, Viper has certainly performed some miracles himself. We were all there in 2021, where he made that run 5 games all the way towards the grand final, being able to take down an incredibly in-form D+ Kia.
I think the hard part for Hanwha, though, is trying to get control for Viper in a fight. Bane has control side, Knight does as well, so you're going to be late to objective setups by default. And then you are going to, Bane has his flash up, Shun flash up, Knight flash up, On flash up. There are so many people that are diving on towards Viper, so he has to play this clutch. Now, he does have his summoner spells available, but this needs to be superb from Viper.
Well, there's a point-blank charm going to connect onto Shun. He's going to take that as an invitation for more Biffo, but they're not going to actually commit to anything.
And it's also Zeka, or it's also Zeri without an enchanter, which is going to be inherently a little bit less powerful. So still a very powerful position for BLG to be in the game. Not to mention the 2 Mountain Drakes already with kind of the bruiser front line they have, just giving them so much additional durability when you already have an Ahri team already being a little bit low in damage, and then because the Jax is a full item behind, there's just not very many people to actually get BLG low so that Viper can clean up.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at On. Like, he just likes to bluff. It's like, I swear Knight is still behind me as Knight starts to show him midway. He's like, never mind, I'm going to get out of here.
He's on the perfect, like, walking ward champion as well, though. As Rakan can basically get out of anything kind of for free.
I mean, it's one of the champions he made his name on, right? It was Rakan and Renata that he was really renowned for. Why he became known as the handsome support for his handsome plays in the LPL. Yeah. And it was a lot of it was on things like the Rakan, which very fitting for that type of nickname.
Yeah, I'd say fitting for this matchup as well, as that was where Delight made his name as well. Even when he was a bro back in the day, still was certainly celebrated for that champion. Less so these days, as the Alistair and the Rel have certainly been more his calling cards on HLE. Not so far this game, though. This Rel has not been able to find quite the things that he's wanted to get going. Zeka finding a little bit here. Does have 3 items now completed. Void Staff done as well. Trying his best to do damage.
Absolutely, and it's going to be sole point here. HLE had 5 people grouped on mid lane very briefly to be able to get mid prio, but they haven't been able to hold priority on any of the side lanes. This is actually a nice timing right now because the wave that Knight pushed in top doesn't matter that much aside from the lost gold, and at least HLE can clear the vision, because if they get the right pocket of vision with which they can Nocturne alt and one-shot Elk with, that could be a way for them to prevent this soul going over.
And again, this is what I was talking about. Knight supporting Elk on mid-push. They're never leaving Elk alone, giving that opportunity. Now BLG are in position to just sit around Elk and just play this pocket of protection.
Yeah, and they are just walking in with so much confidence. This is the way that BLG were moving in their domestic playoffs, right? It was just, we want this. We're just going to all move in. We are ready for a fight, and they are once again set up immediately.
Zeka lost ult there for basically nothing. Knight stole his ult, so they're panicking.
Yeah, they look for the backline. They dive onto where the money is, but that hop was gorgeous from Bin, and everyone else piles on to make sure that he's okay. He does lose a lot of his health bar, but he's still alive. Teleport at the ready as Doran diving on forward, doesn't find an engage angle. as they're looking to try and take down this dragon. This is so dangerous. Bin is only a matter of time to get back here. Shun not going to be able to steal it, but it's Viper that somehow takes the dragon. Doran flashes away, but the chains will meet him, and now Knight has them exactly where he wants them, going 1 versus 2, and he likes those odds. As it's Delight that's on the ground. Peanut now trying to walk away, gets the fear of Zeka. Not going to be able to do enough. They're underneath in a turret, and they're still destroying them.
Night 9 was in the name because it's 999 on the Rift right now. An incredible performance from the BLG mid laner. This guy is having a pop-off on the Silas.
That is likely going to mean Baron as well for BLG. They didn't get the soul, which could still be important later, but that whole sequence to me was one in the setup by BLG. They got the Ahri ultimate early, and then because BLG tried, because HLE tried so desperately to get on Bin, that was really their last chance. They were never going to win a straight-up 5v fight without the Ahri ult against the level 16 Silas, and we saw the conclusion of the fight when they did actually fight.
And when we get into this replay, I want you to watch on the ult, flash, and the grand entrance to give the hop to Bin to get him over this wall. Watch here as he comes in. So everyone jumps in, goes over the wall, gets the hop for Bin, and then gets the grand entrance back out with that charm onto everyone. And that's what buys that space for Bin to get the reset off. And then Knight uses the cover of everyone jumping up towards the top side to sneak in behind. Delight is trying to mark jump, but as he goes on towards Knight, everyone jumps onto Doran. So it's a fight on 2 fronts now, which is perfect for champions like Silas and for Wukong with the fight.
Yeah, Arrow going to connect here from Peanut, who spell shields it very, very nicely. Still HLE. I mean, yes, they survive, but they're pushed away from their own jungle, not able to get that money, and everything is going wrong as we move towards the late game.
There's just no way for Doran to get gold at this stage in the game because the Baron push is going to be so fast that he needs to group with the team. Bin doesn't need to group because his team is much stronger. He can continue getting more and more head off the side lane, so HLE is just desperately hoping that either Delight gets the absolute god tier engage or that BLG overcommits somewhere.
And you've got to do something very quickly because Bin is now in this mid lane. BLG starting to support him. He's about to start Mending which gives him an opportunity to actually take pop shots at this turret. Elk sitting topside again. The ultimate is available. Can Peanut block it a second time?
Yep, 2-level advantage as well as far as those top laners, so nothing that Doran can really do. But that's been the story of the majority of this game. Knight steals away the paranoia as well. That might be able to get them a little bit more of an advantage. Looking towards Doran perhaps, does manage to get a bit of damage down onto Shun, but he's not too worried about it as this Wukong. Orbit Deception doing some damage onto Elk, as you can see there, but HLE, it's just scraps that they're able to pick up right now, as Delight going to be allowed to set up some sort of trap as another minion wave. Conga lines in, and BLG, this is as by the book as it gets, but it looks like no way in for HLE at all.
And this is what they look like domestically. Super strong solo laners, the pick from Elk.
Yeah, Arrow is going to be at least buffered there by Zeka. Paranoia does come down. Knight utilizing that one, has a hijack immediately. Well, almost immediately. Level 18 Silas just barely has a cooldown on that one, so we'll see what he's going to be picking up next.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to reset and then set up around Soul, unless...
the interruption on even the empowered recall. That is going to be Elk going down, and maybe HLE buying some space here. As, yeah, that was the ward that was put down by Delight earlier on. And BLG, they lose their AD carry 1 minute before this dragon. Not a whole lot to fight around, though, for HLE.
And that's the heartbreaking thing for Hanwha. Yes, they can get these waves pushed out, but it doesn't really net them an objective on the map. Elk, should be back up and available as it comes through. On, though, is moving in towards this bot side, just setting up this vision already for Dragon. Hanwha kind of need to brute force their way down mid lane, push back BLG, see if they continue the pressure on the map in that darkness to find more picks and push BLG back further. But you can see Bin, super strong, pushes in bot side already.
Yep.
Such a tight flash timer on Elk as well. That's why he has the Seeker's Arm Guard in his inventory right now. BLG, I think, just need this soul fight to close the game. They are stronger at the moment. Silas, level 18, with the ultimates that he can choose from, is just devastating. The only thing they have to worry about a little bit, I'd say, is Elk getting picked off in one shot, because then the damage might be low enough. But the time it takes for HLE to actually kill the Gnar and the Wukong seems to be just too high.
These item spikes are absurd as well. You got a Death Cap coming in from Knight. You've also got a Seeker's Arm Guard just casually there for Elk as well. So if they do dive on top of him again, he can go golden. Has a bit of an answer here as now Peanut going to get stunned up here from Knight. This is a little bit too far forward. Does get the shield as on. Looks to try and buy some space. Peanut may have baited it though as the ulti comes through from Viper. They take down the Nocturne and now it's Zeka that's the target. Delight just trying to play Peel. Viper still alive for the moment. The arrow going to be tanked by Delight and Viper will just get smacked down in the team fight. Knight will be able to get another Spirit Rush as Doran doing his best to try and play 1 versus 3, but it's not going to be enough. Or at least he's going to buy a little bit of space, but then the chain's going to catch him. And 3 left for BLG. That's going to be an ace, and they might be able to just walk down the bottom lane.
Doran desperately tried to keep the game alive there, but he couldn't get enough gold in his back pocket. And BLG are marching down on bot side, taking the red side game for themselves.
10 seconds on Peanut. He might be able to clear the wave. I think this is going to be it, though, for BLG.
This is a dangerous one. Knight has so much damage. Now that Death Cap's come in, the AP going to be obliterating these Nexus turrets. The Nexus will be exposed.
They got it.
He makes them nearsighted, but the Nexus, it's right next to them, and they'll be able to take it down. Match point for BLG.
BLG might be nearsighted, but their sights are only on semi-finals in this series. They see themselves 1 game away from history repeating from 2023.
Shun wants to beat Peanut again. Bin wants to beat Doran again, and they are 1 game away from accomplishing that feat.
I'm feeling some pretty crazy deja vu, man. I was home last time, and this time I'm in Paris, so I know it's a different thing, but the story is feeling dangerous.